Ladies and gentlemen, our top focus, US Vice President Modi-Vance and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have had a closed-door meeting a few hours ago. The meeting, of course, came at a time when trade, tariffs, termination of visas, impacting jobs and education, as well as terrorism, are all big concerns globally. And India appears in a strong position of negotiating deftly, with its stand making clear nothing would happen at quote-unquote gunpoint. The White House has earlier said that the Trump administration has put its relations with India as a top priority. In fact, sources are confirming to Mirror now that all aspects of Indo-US relationships were discussed today with J.D. Vance and Prime Minister Modi, including economic and defense details. I'm being joined by my colleague, Mr. Srinjoy, at this point. Srinjoy, let's just start with first decoding the pictures. I mean, it's television. It's two great leaders who are meeting. You have J.D. Vance with whatever is happening in the United States. And of course, you have Prime Minister Modi, you have kids involved. You have Usha Vance coming home as well. Now, break this down for us. What do you make out of the reception that was given to them, the meeting between the two leaders, their families for that matter, and of course the cultural event that you are stating really happened as well?
Yes, first of all, let's not forget that whenever the Vice President of the United States comes to India and meets the Prime Minister of India, it's an important event. You can't dispute that. Plus, India has made a special effort to show to the Vances that, look, you're so welcome here. And as far as Usha Vance is concerned, it's coming home. And to that, and the children as well. Now, as part of that, there was a performance, is what we are hearing, a performance, a South Indian performance before the dinner. This was for keeping in mind Usha Vance. So very thoughtful effort by the Prime Minister's office to make Usha Vance and actually the entire family feel at home.
Right. In fact, Srinjoy, I mean, moving away from these pictures, and we're just hoping we'll get more visuals as well of these and details of the meeting, but you're also picking up that nothing really was off the table during the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and J.D. Vance. You're also picking up that everything was discussed, including economic and defense details. Now, the truth is, a lot is being spoken about. One, the tariffs, trade. Two, the entire issue around visas for that matter. And so much is at stake. India, of course, maintaining its position that nothing is really going to be arm twisted from them. But how are you looking at the talks that really happened? What are your sources picking up?
Well, what I've heard so far, there's nothing official, but I have heard that everything was on the table. The entire spectrum of the Indo-US ties were on the table and were discussed. Now, that's a wide range. We start with strategic issues, we look at economic issues, we look at education-related issues, science and technology, space, everything. But we know for certain that, yes, defense issues came up for discussions. There's no dispute about that. We also know that economic and commercial issues also came up for discussions. And when you say economic and commercial, you imagine that the issue of trade and tariffs would be part of it. Yes, defense came up because India and America have a very strong defense partnership. It's not just about buying and selling our equipment. It's also about working together. Malabar, of course, is a prime example of that. There are other exercises the armed forces do. There is a future that is being considered vis-a-vis American firms making their products in India and perhaps exporting it to other parts of the world. So defense will always be big. Apart from that, there is economic issues, and economic and commercial issues is what I heard, which means trade, which means tariffs and similar things.
In fact,
so it's a big thing. Everything came under discussion, and maybe there was a message from the president as well.
Right. In fact, you know, just to take this forward, Of course, jobs are a big concern. Tariffs are a big concern. But let's look at just the latest messaging of Elon Musk, for that matter. He's expected in India just in a matter of few weeks, for that matter. He's had a conversation with Prime Minister Modi as well. Tesla is up for cards, and Starlink. So much on the table, for that matter. But possibly every Indian seems to be talking about what's happening with visas, whether it be for jobs or whether it be for the education. And,
Yes.
how techies, how students, how are they being looked at in United States? Do we know anything of how should this be looked at this point? Was this up for discussion as well?
Well, everything came under discussion. But the point, as far as the visas are concerned, is very clear. You look at all major Indians there. Look at, let's say, Sundar Pichai. Look at Satya Nadella. They were of Indian origin. They are American citizens. And they've done well in America. And they studied in America. Look at people who have won the Nobel Prize of Indian origin. Hargovind Khurana, Abhijit Banerjee, Subramaniam Chandrasekhar, even Venkatraman Ramakrishnan. All of them went to university in America, or they have taught in America, or both. Amartya Sen also taught in America, though he's an Indian citizen. The other four are all American citizens, British citizens. So it's very clear that America also benefits from the best and brightest Indians going to America, studying there, working there, making a living there. It improves America and it improves Indo-US ties. So surely there should be a sense of security for all the Indians who are studying there and working there. They don't want to be told halfway through their term that, well, pack your bags and go home.
Right. Let's also just face the fact, Srinjoy. At the end of the day, it's not just for India's interest. It's also US interest. We know what's happening between US and China, and India is to US's advantage completely.
Oh, yes, of course. I agree with you. Let's look at this. America, GDP 30 billion. China, second largest, 18 billion. America, the world's largest consumer. China, the world's largest exporter. And the economic war between them has peaked. It's almost going nuclear. At this point, this is an advantage for India. This is an opportunity for India, at least in the medium term. Can India produce enough material that can be exported to America in a way that the Chinese did once upon a time?
Absolutely.
This gives India a foot in the door.
Right. And in fact, we're just getting information also right now that Prime Minister Modi also recalled his visit to Washington, D.C. in the meeting, and which had in fact laid down the roadmap for close cooperation between India and US. So it was also a reference made to really that.
Absolutely. That too. I was going to say that, yes, the fact that the PM met President Trump there, the fact that the issues that came up during those discussions also found a voice during the meeting with the Vice President and the Prime Minister.
Right. Thank you very much for bringing this all together. I think the outcomes is something that everybody will be very interested to watch. India and US not only have a very close connect, but also direct bearings on each other and how their future really takes shape. So thank you very much, Mr. Srinjoy, for joining us with those details.
Thank you.
Well, it's time for a very short break.